Hello, Education 2220 students. I hope everyone had a great week last week. So, this week we are going to be covering Module 4, which is partnering with families and advocating for students with exceptionalities. So, you'll see here on the overview and outcomes page our course outcomes that we are going to be able to master with the learning objectives specifically for Module 4. So, what we're really focusing on this module is going to be how do we work effectively with multidisciplinary team of educators? What is a multidisciplinary team? How do we work with other professionals and families? Also, we're going to learn a little bit about advocacy and how that plays a role as an educator in working with children who have exceptionalities. So, within here in this module, you're going to have a couple of different assignments that you're going to have to do, and I will get to that in just a moment, but I kind of wanted to walk through the key concepts and things I really want you to focus on in this module. So you'll see here the things that we're looking at obviously is family engagement. I went ahead and highlighted things I really want you to hone in on and focus, like trusting relationships, looking at cultural backgrounds, cultural and linguistically, responsive communications. What are the role of families when we're talking about IFSPs, those family support plans, or the IEPs and transitions? And then when we talk about advocacy, we're really talking about how do you become an advocate? How do you support parents and families? What would be inclusive practices? And then how do we navigate those barriers um, and those boundaries as far as communication structures, right? Then we look at collaborative relationships. Again, going back to that multidisciplinary teaming that we want to see, and what would effective collaboration look like when we are trying to all have a voice in decision making? And how do we involve those parents? Then there are also barriers to engagement. We're going to be looking at those, specifically systemic, cultural, and logistical barriers and what those are. How do we support families through stress if there are limited resources available? And then how do we make sure that we have an inclusive classroom where everyone has a voice? And then, of course, since our book is about using UDL, we're going to look at how do we use those principles of UDL to help us communicate and collaborate with families. Because obviously, the families are experts in their own right, right? They're the child's first teacher. So we want to make sure that they have a voice and that they are part of that team and we are collaborating. That's why this section is all about partnering with families. So those are going to be the main concepts we're focusing on. Again, I have the standards listed here. You are going to be reading chapter 7 in the Teaching in Today's Inclusive Classrooms textbook, but I also put some other resources. And again, I want to preface when I give you additional resources, I always say download them. When you get a chance, look at them. So, the resources I have here for you, one of them is called a Parent Training and Information Center, and the other is a Community Parent Resource Center. And these are really good links because they talk about advocacy. Um, Resources and different training, which would help support when we're talking about family engagement. So I feel like this publication is really a great resource for you. Also, something that I was neat thought was neat relating back to IDA, Individuals Disability Education Act, we're going back to that module 1 when we're talking about IDA and how important it was as a law, but also talking about the parents' legal rights, right? When we go back to where we were talking about evaluations and eligibility decisions, and developing IEP. So all this is connected, but specifically look in IDEA Part B when we're saying parent participation, what does that look like? So I do have that Q&A there for you to look at that might be helpful. And then again, we're going to be looking at the Tennessee Special Education Framework, specifically pages 11 through 17, where we talk about collaboration and family engagement when we're looking at planning and service delivery options in schools in the state of Tennessee. So I went ahead and thought that that would be a great resource to include for you as well. Okay, so that's some of the reading. I do have the chapter 7 PowerPoint here for you. I think it's important for you to look through the slides because it goes along with our text. So you will be reading chapter 7. There is a connect video here for you about partnering with families. Please make sure that you watch it. If you don't want to watch, there is the transcript if you are a read write learner. I also have an additional PowerPoint listed here for you. One of them is about parent rights, like an overview PowerPoint presentation, and the other one is one specifically related to collaborating with parents. So I thought it'd be useful to have those additional resources there for you during this module. And then now we're getting on into the activities and assessments this week. So you have your Module 4 quiz. Again, take advantage for those multiple attempts, right? We're going to take the highest grade once the quiz closes. So please make sure that you are taking full advantage of that. Also, I put a little game together for you, a Nearpod quiz review specifically related to Module 4. So please practice and use that as a tool to study, right? Because again, these questions and the quizzes are in a test bank, meaning that when we get to our midterm exam, these are ones that you're going to see again or very similar layout, similar questions. It's going to go over the same topics for each module. So please make sure you're taking advantage and using those study tools I provide you. And then I said you were going to have two things that you're going to be participating and completing this week. The first one is an IRIS module um, on family engagement. So in this one, what you're going to do is you are going to complete the IRIS module. And in the assessments tab inside the module, I want you to complete it and I want you to submit it to Dropbox. Okay. I'm giving you a little bit of an extra time on that. You'll see it says October 11th. So the quiz will close on October the 5th, which is a Sunday. And we have the discussion board that will also close on October 5th. But because it's a lot to do too, I thought we'd give you a little bit of extra time. So you will not have to actually have that submitted until October the 11th. So that is there for you. So you're going to complete it and make sure you submit it. Now let's talk about your discussion board of how I'm going to take a grade for you too. So in this one, you're going to read an article. I have the link here. This is coming from the Sage Handbook of Special Education. It is quite a bit older, but I feel like it's so important and it's still relevant in the time period we're in now, because it really talks about, okay, we say collaboration, we say involving families, and we have this partnership. But what are some guidelines to have successful parent involvement? What would that look like? So you're going to read this article. And then after on the discussion board, you're going to answer these questions. Okay. So I gave you guiding questions to help you. So it might be helpful to take notes while you're reading it to really pick out things that stand out to you because that's going to be what you're going to talk about in the discussion post. So, the first thing you're going to look at is identifying 2 or 3 key concepts from the article. And I want you to connect it to you as an educator in the classroom, like a future educator, and why these concepts stood out to you. The second thing I want you to post on or write about is what's something that maybe the article talked about that you were unclear about, or maybe you need further clarification or need to research further. And then lastly, if you have a question that you would like to ask your peers about their insights or thoughts about the article. And again, remember you are going to respond to at least 2 classmates' posts. Think of a thoughtful response. I agree your good job is not going to earn you full credit on the discussion board rubric. Remember, discussion boards are meant to be engaging. Share your ideas, share your thoughts, ask questions. Maybe you want to insert a link or to a resource that would help with what we're learning about. So those are the kinds of responses I want to see. Okay, so that will be due October the 5th, which is a Sunday. And then obviously our quiz will be closing October the 5th. The only thing you have an extension on for time wise is going to be the Iris module. I'll give you till the 11th of October to get that in. And again, that will be going to the Dropbox. and then you would click on the link to complete the discussion board. Okay. All right, so that pretty much takes care of module 4. As of now, I'm still sending out service learning placements. If I haven't emailed you a placement, please contact me or reach out to me. That means that we're either waiting to hear back from the school or we need some information from you and you did not complete all of the pre-service learning documentation. So as of now, you should have already completed everything to Teams. You should have completed a background check and as well as purchased liability insurance. And some students I have even given the green light. So if you haven't heard from me, then you need to reach out, okay? Because it's important for us to get you placed as soon as possible because you do have 12 hours to complete as well as the written assignments. So we just need to make sure we don't delay the process of getting you placed. All right, I hope everyone has a great week. Until next time, take care.